In 2008, when I essentially resigned from the charter airlines, I shifted my focus elsewhere, and that's when I started the business Magnavation. It was April 2008, so this year it has been 18 years. Waiting for 7 hours to catch the next flight is a luxury, but at the same time, it's also something that isn't. He does it for show, he does it to save time so he can be more rested and arrive at his vacation fresh. I've met people with any name you can think of. I'm not talking about traditional Greek names. Ship owners, presidents of football clubs, business group leaders, Greek tycoons. There isn't a name I haven't contacted, communicated with, and booked a flight for in these 30 years. And the same goes for the fact that since Greece attracts the most famous names in the world, we've also served real Hollywood stars, maybe even the richest people on earth. For example, several years ago, before COVID, we had served Jeff Bezos. What I'm trying to say is that it's a job that brings you into contact with the most important people on the planet.
Welcome to FtaklakisTalk. In today's episode, I have with me Mr. Miltos Mouzakis. Mr. Miltos Mouzakis is the founder of Magna Aviation. Magna Aviation is a company that specializes in private jets and helicopters. We're talking about a field where a single flight can cost tens of thousands of euros.
That's right, especially if it's abroad.
A very closed field. So in general, Mr. Miltos, it was a pleasure. I was very glad.
I'm glad. Thank you very much.
Did you accept it?
Well,
I would like us to hear your story. Can you tell me in general how you started in such a field?
I started in this private aviation sector by coincidence, and this year, coincidentally, I am completing exactly 30 years. I started in 1996. It was simply a position. There was a vacancy that had come up, and they were looking for someone to fill it. I was a commercial representative at a company, one of the very few back then that did flights, air taxi services, meaning chartered flights with a business aircraft. And basically, at that time in 1996, there were two. All the companies that did this job in Greece were Aegean Aviation, which today has evolved into Aegean Airlines. This company had indeed started with shareholders, some of whom are still shareholders today. That is, it started with what was contributed by the Vasilakis group at the time and by Antonis Simidalas. And Interjet, where I was also an executive, there was a large group from which they tried. It's the Inter-American group, which was later sold, and the founder and owner was Dimitris Kontominas, who has passed away since 2022, I remember, 1922. So I started completely by chance as an executive. I learned a job that wasn't even familiar to me. In general, in Greece, there weren't really any airlines to do many air taxi flights. It was something completely new to me. It was a big challenge. The fact that having a strong academic background with a first degree in economic self-management of businesses, a master's degree in marketing from a good university in England, it was a big challenge that I stopped searching in other fields that were very promising, like consumer goods in multinational companies, and I took the risk to get involved in a sector where there weren't even any executives. I also had an insecurity back then that if I learn a trade here and later want to change jobs, who will hire me, since there aren't any companies? I remember that as an insecurity. However, fate and the course of events turned out in such a way that I really like this job. To the point, I would say, almost obsessively, I was really into it on my own. At that time, I had introduced to the company the idea of being available by phone, at the office, on my mobile 24 hours a day, something that didn't exist before because the position had just been created. It was a company back then that basically didn't have such a clear commercial orientation. It had a plane that was privately owned by Kontominas himself, so this plane would exist anyway for the owner to make business trips. And it also had two helicopters, which basically carried out the transportation of Inter-Americans patients. The goal was for the two helicopters and one jet to enter the market commercially so people could learn about and rent them. An incredible challenge in a market that didn't even exist. There was no practice to see who was doing what right. There was only one company, Aegean, which at first had some small cargo planes and then got a Learjet. And essentially, it was a market that was taking its first steps, so within this market, working hard. With the common denominator, of course, being the big ambition I had, because I really liked this job, and I'll explain why I liked it. I like the airplanes, and I also like the concept of flying, of taking flight. But the most interesting aspect of this job was that through the effort and the attempts, either through the group's recommendations to approach certain clients or as the company became known through other methods, there was no social media back then, so we used to send direct mail. Sometimes we placed ads in supposedly high prestige publications.
Of course.
Did you send an advertisement? We had done it in some brochures, that might have had a section on Black Surrey yachts. I even remember they had. Of course, that's not my decision. It was decided. There was even an ad placed on a booth tent for the flights. I mean, the private ones. It's definitely an unconventional way because, as we say about our own approach today, the strategy of Magna Aviation, you make a little video, and it could end up being seen by millions of eyes. The most successful video I've made, it has reached just on TikTok 1,200,000 views, plus those on Facebook, it's reached around 2.5 million views. To watch a video, however, the majority will make fun of it. They'll say, "What is this?" Here, the country, let's say, is in crisis or whatever, and you see that this is obviously not VIP, it's not VIP. People who watch them are the average people, just like us, and they're basically people who use social media. And among them, the VIPs are just 0.003%. Because that's what we're talking about, someone who actually has access to make a real choice about using this service. And I mean a real choice of use. Because there's also a small category that's not the VVIP, of course. And I say real choice because someone might be forced to use it. Because if someone, for example, has an accident or a health issue, or if a loved one does, and they're on an island and can't get there in time, in Akarato or Cambia, for example, they might call us or an air ambulance, and we can send an aircraft to do it. An emergency airlift, that's what it is too. A service that doesn't concern the VVIP but also concerns the ordinary citizen who might have some savings set aside in case of such a need. Because he hurt his leg, he's worried, he's on an island. He says the ambulance never arrives, so they suggest he go earlier since he's uncomfortable. He agrees, saying he'll spend 3 or 4,000 and return to Athens. And that's a part of the service.
And the unbelievable thing is that, as you say, someone might be in urgent need and you have to act so quickly to make it in time.
So the service makes sense. So I was saying that in a then unknown market, what captivated me and really made me give all my time, my personal time, and I invested essentially my future as well. And that's somehow explained by the fact that Magna Aviation has had a successful course. It wasn't the branding, it wasn't something like advertising, it was that there was an experience with a love for the subject. And that's what essentially gave me the drive, the willingness to invest my time and to actually enjoy all of it. That's it. What I was doing was a job where you actually got to know the wealthiest people in Greece. Mainly, and of course, also those who come on vacation from abroad. I mean, I have met just about every big name you can think of, and I'm talking about the biggest ones. Greek shipping magnates, presidents of football clubs, business group owners, Greek tycoons. In 30 years, I've contacted or communicated with every name and booked flights for all of them. And what's fascinating about this is that you see this clientele coming back and staying loyal for these 30 years. We're moving to the next generation. Now their children are using these services. And the same goes for the fact that because Greece attracts some of the most famous names in the world, we've actually served Hollywood stars, maybe even the richest people on earth. For example, several years ago before COVID, we had served Jeff Bezos. What I'm saying is, I wanted to point out that this is a job that brings you into contact with the most important people on the planet, one way or another. So that's something very interesting, which means that on one hand, you do it with love, and on the other hand, even if you're a demanding person, you never get bored because every day is different.
Incredible. When you were young, I mean, if we go back to your childhood, do you remember yourself? I mean, what did you want to do as a child?
I didn't have that as a child and never thought about it. Should I answer formally? Never. And I don't remember having any clear idea of what I wanted to do. I mean, maybe the first years when I started wondering what I wanted to do, which must have been when I was 15 or 16 years old. Which courses will you take when choosing your direction in school?
You said you're studying economics?
Yes, and then I remember that because I wasn't a good student, I chose economics, not because I liked economics, but because I thought, looking at the other fields like practical studies, mathematics, the sciences, that economics was the easiest, just to get in somewhere. I mean, that's how I chose back then, just going with the flow. It wasn't a conscious choice at the time.
Also, you come from a good financial background from your family. I mean, your family was well off financially.
We were from a typical middle-class Greek family, a big one, in that area of Kypseli. We didn't live in a rented house. It was owned. So, I mean, there were decent living conditions. Our parents, through their support, put us in private schools. So they made sure to give us the best possible education. We didn't live in any particularly big house. I mean, if you think about how things are now, the houses and needs of today's families, we grew up, we are a family. There are five of us. I mean, because I have two other siblings and parents, and we grew up in one house. In Kipsili, in a 120 square meter apartment with two bedrooms. I mean, we didn't grow up in luxury or wealth. We were a normal family.
I mean, it's not that.
My dad was a sailor. He worked as a migrant in shipping companies. So it was that they were working hard to provide their children with education. They did it. They put us, as I said before, in private schools. They wanted us to study, to get an education. We grew up with dignity.
I say this since some might claim everything was handed to you.
Not at all. And simply what happened, which definitely had an impact, was that I got into aviation because everything is connected. If you trace it back and see how I ended up there, I think yes. A fundamental factor that played its role was the private school. And I'll explain why. The fact that I went to a private school at Athens College, contributed to it. Not that the college found me the job. In short, at Terasti, Terra American back then, Interjet in the company, but that a very good childhood friend of mine whom I had met at the college, he was the one who basically in 1996, after 30 years, handled the issue of prevention measures back then and was an external consultant. He created a business plan for the company to not go bankrupt because this company was on the verge of bankruptcy. It had those aircraft owned by Theoctitus and the two helicopters and basically had no clients at all. So, as an external partner, my classmate at the time had taken on a project, a business plan about how to save the company that was then called Interjet. And among the proposals he made and delivered, of course, for a fee as an external partner to the then America Group, American Interjet, the rescue plan said that a person should be hired to take on the commercial role in order to optimize the commercial exploitation of the airline's assets. This person, who is my close friend, in a way, the college essentially opened a door for me to get into aviation along the way. Of course, because there were large circles and I knew people who were fellow graduates, so there was, one way or another, a kind of networking because of the college. I knocked on some doors. I even advertised back then in the alumni publication. I mean, there was, I definitely took advantage as much as I could of the fact that I came from a private school. Definitely.
Now, I want to ask, how does a company like Magna Aviation actually operate in practice? I mean, I want you to tell me, and of course, first of all, tell me if you had that name from the beginning.
No, Magna Aviation started in 2008. In 2003, we had started with an emphasis on travel services, Magna Travel, with my partner Aso Papalis. And in 2008, when I essentially resigned from the shipping company's SA chartering, so that's when you started. That's when I focused my attention elsewhere, and that's when I started my business career. Magna Aviation was in April 2008, so this year it's been 18 years this month. Magna Aviation was a creation with the goal of being the first company to bring together all available Greek helicopters and executive jets, with the goal of providing these services, the rentals. From the beginning until today, we have been intermediaries, brokers, that is, we find the aircraft, and depending on the request, we suggest the appropriate means to the client. As for its capacity, its range, how far it can go, if it can carry the luggage the client wants, if it is available on the days the client wants. We search the market and always suggest what has the best. Focus on efficiency, price, and quality. It's not only about cost. Sometimes choosing a better aircraft requires more effort. Because they might be afraid they might want a new model, or they might want a model that doesn't exist in Greece. So, there are many, even unreasonable factors that justify someone using a broker instead of going directly to the charter companies, to the air taxi companies.
So now you say to be a broker? Do you have your own aircraft?
But we don't have our own aircraft. However, what sets us apart from the other brokers, there must be 2 or 3 other companies in Greece right now. It's that we've managed, through our good relationships and cooperation with the owners and operators of the aircraft, to make some exclusive agreements, especially on the platforms, for listing the aircraft, because today there are global platforms where you post these airplanes with their features, with their photos. There is an option for the user to request the itinerary through the platform, so we have managed, through hard work and our good relationship with the suppliers, to currently have around 10 airplanes and helicopters for which we have taken on the listing and marketing on these platforms.
How difficult was that? I mean, to cooperate, okay?
It's not that difficult, because with those we talked to and who trusted us, there was already a business relationship. We were already making them a lot of business, and we were essentially among their best customers. Why? Essentially, it's because we have the requests and the clients who are asking for flights. And we channel the business to a supplier and generate a certain amount of turnover for him, which he might not have been able to get on his own from a single client. In no case, because a client might do 2 or 3 flights a year while we provide 20 clients who each do 3 flights. So in terms of volume, we're a significant player. So definitely in this business relationship, it matters that you choose your supplier and that you are a good client.
So I want you to tell me what it actually means to book a private jet. I mean, what does a client have to do?
What should an interested client who has contacted us do next? Now, fortunately, with social media, we have much more exposure than before. I imagine you also found us through social media, and a lot of people find us that way, mostly through social media. Even old acquaintances, important companies from the past, former clients who had forgotten about me. Basically everyone, in the end, everyone. On social media, as I was saying before, within this large audience you attract through social media, among them you also find the VIPs. Yes, and a percentage of them will contact you too. They will find you there. They will contact you too. They will find you there. Well, for us, it's very simple. They will send a WhatsApp, an email, or make a phone call and request the flight. That's how it works. Yes, most orders and booked flights come from a simple call. Yes, I need this in 4 days. Send an offer or tell me how much it costs. Or an email, please send an offer for this trip, where the other person describes point A, point B, the date, the time, and the people, and that's it. They get an offer, you give them 1 or 2 options, they choose and book. That's the process.
I wanted to tell you now, I have a lot of questions, but I'll hand it over to Gaston.
Yes.
You generally said, do you have 10 airplanes, 10 helicopters? Are there periods when it's in season, let's say, and you're fully booked?
Yes, there's a busy high season when it's hard to find availability, prices rise, and people might ask about the best times and other details, all within certain limits. It's rare for there to be no availability at all. You'll find something, it's just that the price will be higher, there will be something. A helicopter, you'll find one somewhere. It's not possible for all of them to be flying. I know the 3 helicopters that Greece has.
I'll discuss how advertising and marketing have changed. You asked about my recent social media activities over the last 2 years and how I used to advertise in the past. How did so many people find out about you?
In the past, the way of promotion was very clear. Some listings appeared in industry publications where operators and brokers placed ads, including in the Kolirios of Athens alumni magazine, mainly for branding rather than generating business. And from there, it was direct email, so it was a more well-known way. Campaigns with email, it was with direct mail. That's what I mean. The years when I started, from 96 until 2000, we used to send by mail. Prospectus with a cover letter, with the aircraft prospectus, follow up by phone. Then we did the traditional method of direct marketing, full on direct mail. I remember back then I used Mark's Microsoft Word. I did mail merge with the names from those databases. From an Excel sheet, it would merge, handle addresses, print labels, print letters, and that's how marketing and follow-up calls were done back then in the traditional way. But if you look at it that way, basically we gradually built up our clientele. And of course, the biggest weapon in this service is word of mouth. That is, half of the clients came through referrals. We were satisfied, so Mr. So-and-so, who is my friend, will call you to arrange a flight for him. Is that it? They wanted referrals? We were satisfied, so Mr. Stathis, who is my friend, will call you to arrange a flight for him. That's the most classic case. So we had a core group of clients who were the ones I mentioned before, people who had used the service and were satisfied with it. And of course, back then, as operators and owners, it made sense for them to use the aircraft in Athens, to use it to come and go. It had the right price, even though it was expensive. We weren't coming from another country to do the job. Well, and these clients were, on one hand, repeat clients, and on the other hand, at the first opportunity, since they were satisfied, they spread the word, they brought, with our recommendations, they brought other clients. So that's how it developed, and over time we built this clientele of Greeks. VIP subtitles.
But you mentioned to me that you also have clients from abroad?
Of course, we have clients from abroad and occasionally some private individuals who have been referred to us by companies with dials. We got in touch because we had arranged a transfer. They had found us through the internet. They came to Greece and we booked a helicopter for them. Usually, the contact we have with foreigners and the services we provide almost always concern the final part of their trip. That is, the wealthy foreigner who visits, we always refer to that type, who has some comfort and you know their profile. Because on the one hand, the majority of them go to Mykonos, so they're called to Mykonos. It's the best place for these things. I don't know if there are statistics, but it's the magnet for the wealthiest visitors on the planet, and then they come from the other islands. There you have the highest spenders. So traditionally, all these years we've been serving the last part of the traveler's journey, which means that someone will take the flight from America, arrive in Athens, and use the helicopter for the last part. From Athens to Mykonos, or Athens to Sifnos, or even Athens to Paros. And they'll do this mainly not because, as many people mistakenly think, they have money and want to fly in style. No, they'll do it because possibly, and this happens very often nowadays, they might have checked to go to Mykonos with Sky Express with Aegean Cedrus that serve the route, and because they arrive at 10 in the morning and the next one is at 5, they might not want to wait 7 hours. So that's where the helicopter comes in. For someone who only has 1 week, waiting 7 hours for the next flight is, yes, a luxury, but it's also something that's not really practical. He does it for convenience to save time so he can be more rested and arrive fresh for his vacation. This happens very often on many flights, especially with clients who book from abroad. These are customers who come with regular scheduled flights, and basically they complete their journey and get to the island of their choice faster. This percentage is quite high, and the same happens when leaving the island. The speedboat isn't convenient, the flight isn't convenient because their connecting flight from Athens to London is international. They schedule the helicopter for the exact time, so when they arrive at Venizelos, they can leave right away and catch their connecting flight.
Mr. Milito, I want to ask you now, have you ever rejected a client? I mean, maybe someone spoke to you a bit rudely or there was something you didn't like?
No, it has happened many times because sometimes there is a delay, like with the fuel, or someone speaks rudely to the staff, to us, on the phone, at the airport, to the guys at the airport. No, we haven't. I mean, there is always a very friendly way to approach things. We put our personal ego aside. And we always say that the customer might be irritated at that moment, maybe upset from their previous trip or anything else. So we've never had a confrontation with customers, never, not even once, and we've never refused to serve a customer because of their behavior, even though such incidents have happened.
So, I want you to tell me if you use the services for any convenience, anything at all.
Me, specifically, yes, I have used these services because I have access to empty legs. I can see when an aircraft is flying empty. I have a good relationship with those who own the aircraft. So I can get on an empty leg without paying because nowadays even the operators who charge for them don't give them for free anymore. And it makes sense. They say, yes, it's going empty, but it's already paid for, so why not make some money if they can get someone to pay? It's their right. So I use these, but only if the empty leg fits where I'm going. The destination shouldn't be different. For example, if it's going empty. To Paros, where I have a closer connection because I rent a summer house there, so I'm interested. When a flight goes to Paros, I'll go to Paros by private aircraft, either helicopter or airplane. I also have my own need for it. One time, when I had a very important job and there was a health issue, I was forced to urgently rent a helicopter because there was a serious health reason. Yes, not on. Okay, not frequently. I mean, I have rented one myself. I've done it once or twice in my life and always out of necessity. Other times I count those too because I wasn't paying for anything.
Because I went up and saw. In general, your staff, it's chaos right now. I want you to tell me how difficult it was to find the right, let's say, employee for the position. I mean, how do you find I think it's called a player in each department or whatever?
Okay, it's not that easy to find the right person for every position. I mean, choosing the staff is something where you have to be really lucky. Why not? The way you choose is basically that you receive a resume and you do an interview. The interview, for better or worse, in a very large percentage, is a performance. It can even be an act. You never really know if someone is good or who they really are. The other person comes in for an interview, says, I'm the best of all, in a nice way. You believe him, he shows enthusiasm, and then he starts working.
So, has this happened to you?
Interviewed by 100, he interviewed everyone. I doubt any business hasn't been convinced by him. To hire a candidate who has the qualifications on paper, is good in the interview, and then starts working. And sometimes someone can seem completely underwhelming, as they say, and then turn out to be perfect.
But what do you want to see from someone in order to collaborate, to work together, to work? I know.
For me, judging from my own experience, of course, and that's where everything starts, we often judge based on our personal experiences. I consider it a key factor for a collaboration to succeed. And to find a person you can rely on and build trust with them. There are two things. One is quality, if you can understand it from the interview, the quality of the person. That is, in no case, if someone doesn't have a good character, if they're not a good person, I don't think I could work with them. That's fundamental. And the other thing is, of course, to see that the other person has a great love for what they're about to do. If someone doesn't like it and does it grudgingly, or does it because they have to, or only for the money, those kinds of collaborations don't last. They're completely short term, just opportunistic, really. I definitely understand your point. You'll see someone who comes and wants to work, wants to succeed. Why not? Are they only excited by the money, or are they excited by the work? because they like what they're doing, they enjoy it. As I said before, I believe I succeeded in what I did because I really like this job. I really like this job. I didn't do it for the money because I was an employee. The salary was the salary. I wouldn't make back the money for the hours I put in. 23, 24. Today, whether I got a call from Giono or Alikoftara, I always took care of customers and was available or unavailable all year round. The salary was just a salary. It never brought in a lot of money, so I did it with real love and enthusiasm. If you find a person who truly loves what they do, you have definitely found the right candidate.
And I really believe what you're saying is very true. The one who enjoys the journey is the one who will go further than the one who only looks at the result. What about the money?
Yeah, the truth is that if the one who enjoys it is also the one who wants to stay in the field, and the one who wants to stay in the field is the one who is excited by this job and, as I said before, has a love for the aviation field. Since you interact with customers, you have the opportunity to meet very important people through your work. Another good thing about working in the field is that you gain tremendous experience in handling demanding customers. You have a lot of interaction with people who have no time at all, so they want things very quickly and perfectly. So, definitely in the end, contrary to what I believed when I was younger, having experience in this field is not the same as having many years in other fields that are not as demanding. I mean, really, working in private aviation. You gain experience and you actually interact with people you couldn't even imagine, and you acquire knowledge and ways to handle situations that you couldn't get from any other job. So, this experience is valuable. In the end, I take back what we used to say that you wouldn't even find any work. I believe that if someone finds a job and works in the commercial sector with private aircraft, they have the best background to get any job.
So, I'm going to ask you two questions now. One is something that people will ask a lot, and the other is more general. From the moment you succeeded, what difference did you notice in the people around you, your friends, your family? I mean, did they see you differently?
No, because honestly, my life didn't change that much on a personal level. The fact that I succeeded and started a business that basically led me from a good position as an executive to essentially becoming, well, a shareholder. Owner of a business that has a very good turnover, is profitable, and employs about 45 people. And in my life didn't change that much. I mean, it didn't change. I didn't enter a different social circle. My way of having fun didn't change. No, okay, someone might say, what changed? Your self-confidence rises on its own without you even realizing it. But in terms of habits, the same. Let's think about it for a moment. What can really change a person? To go and buy a house? A better house? Yeah. Okay, you can do that, and then to get means of wealth, to show off a nice car? I don't belong to that category of people. I mean, I usually don't think about investing the money I make in something like an expensive car. So, So it definitely changed some habits. Like, yes, okay, I will always go. If I know if I go to an island, I will go by plane, of course. I won't hesitate to go quickly, or if it's a long flight, I'll go. I have business class essentially. Fortunately, I can afford it, but I don't want to. That's as far as my personal luxuries go. It's not something that changed my life just because I suddenly became an entrepreneur and the business went well. That's definitely not my philosophy either, so it's fine. It's not.
And another question, is everything we see at the office, the things you do, the videos, even the comments you make real? Is it all true?
Were there real incidents? Yes, it's just that the names of the people have been changed a bit, yes.
So you can't identify the people involved.
It might be recent, and we don't want the client thinking we exposed him on social media. You definitely don't want that. We might have different incidents, we might have combined them to make it seem like it's the same person because the other person does more. Why doesn't the other person relate more easily? I mean, when you tell 10 stories from 10 clients, can you create a persona as a client and say that this person did all these things? Yes. Something that to you
gives you nice ideas.
gives you a nice idea and you can create something that has better cohesion on social media. I mean, I believe that we give people real stories to experience and we add some clever more so that the story has cohesion. That way the other person gains and refines their experience. What exactly? How do those who use it behave? Usage? And that way the stories are more relatable. So the other person puts themselves in the customers or my shoes, the one getting these calls and strange requests, demands.
At the moment when you are constantly talking to very rich people, very powerful ones, what have you understood about time and generally about money? This connection, what exactly? How do rich people think?
Well, I'll tell you very simply because it's funny because I say it. I'll tell you very simply because it has to do with numbers. And what do I mean by numbers? As you very rightly say, sometimes you say that as the years go by, I get very tired. As the years go by, what do we say? You go through things, so time passes quickly, things happen over there, and as you get older, each year feels shorter. That every year you add to your age is an even smaller fraction of your total age. For example, when you're 40, it's different than when you were 10 and turned 11. What happened in 11 years is 1/10 of your whole life. Now that I'm 56, 10 years is like 6 years, they say. It's as if 1 year feels like 6 for me. That's how fast it goes. I mean, 6 years passed like 1 year. Exactly. Well done. Correspondingly, for these people, the issue of time with simple math is this: time is money. Exactly. If a person who needs to move around makes 1,000 euros an hour, well done. You said exactly what I meant. It's not just 1,000 euros an hour, it could even be 10,000 an hour. Yes, for example, yes, if you do the math, take a person, because we're often talking about people like that who can easily afford to fly private, who easily, I won't say all of them, I'll say that's an entry level for them, because there are also a lot of rich people who are billionaires. So now I'm talking about millionaires. So, a millionaire then, who makes a million, can easily make 1,000,000 euros a month. If not every month comfortably, a successful person makes 1,000,000 euros a month. Let's not kid ourselves now. They don't say it like that, but obviously he makes 1,000,000 a month. Do the math, say 1,000,000 divided by 30. How much is that? This much? Divide this much, this much. Do the math for the month, say 1,000,000 divided by 30. How much is that? This much? Divide by that and that's what you get. How much is his hourly rate? You say? His hourly rate? Man, you say his hourly rate, man. Does it cost 3 grand? I'm just saying a number. Not my own hourly rate, just saying. If he gets stuck because he has to go on trips, let's say to Montenegro, where? To go, because I've been to Montenegro for a meeting with a client, you have to go through Belgrade. You can't go there and return, so you'll be stuck there and waste an entire day. If he makes 3 grand an hour and he loses, really loses because he doesn't want to stay out. 7 hours finished? No, I'll tell you, he just lost 7 hours, 7 times 21, to go by jet and return to Montenegro. It's 10 to 12,000. So, did he win? He won money because he took a private jet and didn't get stuck there since he would lose his hours. And what does wealth mean? Wealth? It means that I allocate my time the way I want. But if I, for example, sleep 6 hours, right? I'm at the office another 10, that's 16, and I have, let's say, 5 hours left to do whatever I want with them, to go out with my friends, to stay with my kids, to. So these hours, based on the money I make, these hours have a cost. Because if I stay, outside my family, outside the company I want, which means it's wasted time. Is that it? That means wasted time, wasted time. Because you also have to take action and say the one who rents, how much time does he have? How long will he live? Let's say until he's 90. How much time does he have left and how much does he make? So what's his hourly rate? You understand by how much he makes. So, if you do these calculations, you'll see that who he really is actually very much connected. Of course, I mean, here the following inequality is created, which is also a reality that yes, we are all human. However, whether you like it or not, if you define value by money, by how much money each person makes, we are not equal. What can we do? I don't make 3,000 euros an hour, someone else does, so the time is a bit more expensive. Why? That's how he has arranged things in his life and he takes things more seriously. Can you say that the whole solution is in one thing, that everyone is mortal? Is the whole solution that everyone is mortal? Is the whole solution that everyone is mortal? At some point, they won't live like this forever. So, for him, His time, for better or worse, is more valuable. Or anyway, he has the ability to avoid that. Me, for example, if I go to the Montenegro and I can afford it to stay over, I have nothing. My time isn't that valuable and I don't have anything important. To have to go back and not stay one night in Belgrade, which I've done. I mean, that the higher you go in the business level, the more you deal with these demanding clients, as we say. Naturally, the time of these people is more valuable because they have substantial wealth. They want to have absolute control over their schedule and their travel, so it makes sense that someone pays that kind of money to travel whenever they want. What does money mean to you? What is money to you? For me, money is clearly a way to make things easier. That's what money is. It's facilitation and freedom. I mean, if you have financial comfort, what does it mean? It means that if you want to do something, you do it. You don't have financial limitations. That's what money is. And of course, at the level of daily needs and even healthcare, obviously, when you have a lot of money, you'll get a better education, you'll go to better schools, and you'll have better medical care. So it definitely matters and makes your life easier. But for me, money is basically convenience and freedom.
I want to ask you, did you have role models in your life? People you admired that you wanted to be like? Because I believe in your field, does Nassis, whom I mentioned, also fit in? I mean, is he?
For a long time, I was the only one in the company to get an Olympic. For Nassis, no, I never had that kind of role model. I never wanted to become Nassis. No,
No.
I didn't have him. What I had was a principle. The first thing I said was to be my authentic self and not work for anyone. That was my model. I mean, I wanted to be my own free person. When did you achieve that? Essentially fully? In 2008 at 18 years old.
Did you take the risk?
Yes.
So I'd like you now to give some advice to the young people who started from scratch. What would you tell them? What should we do in general with?
Me, I would tell you, as I said before, that there are so many things to find the field where they won't even notice how time passes. They will love it so much, they will give their heart and soul to something that they will mostly do because they find pleasure and satisfaction in doing something they truly enjoy. And along with passion and love for something, money comes too. I believe it 100%. Because when you love something, you do it really well. And when you do something really well, it's successful. So there's no way that success won't also be accompanied by financial rewards. I mean, if you create an idea that people will like, or a service, and people will love you for it. Because when you do something well and put your heart into it, and others can see in your eyes that you love what you do, they'll embrace it. Is it like that or not? Is it simple? Does it just sound simple? The more personal time and love you put into something, that immediately excludes anyone who's the person interested in what you're about to do, whether that's a service or a product you want to create and promote. Whatever you do in this life, it's about how much you enjoy what you're doing.
Also, let me tell you, you love all this, but you don't have the option to do nothing for a month, like go on a trip.
It's true, I don't do that often.
But it might work.
Could I go on a trip? Well, yes, yes, I could. I could. Theoretically, because I have my phone, I have a team, but no. In the end, I don't really take advantage of the fact that it's now properly structured. The company is properly structured, and I could be away for a while to take my vacation. I don't do it very easily because I'm a person who's so dedicated, especially to what I do. It's hard for me to leave it for long periods.
I want you to tell me where you want to see Magna Aviation.
Ideally, I would like the market not to be difficult and bureaucratic. Yes. Besides what we're doing, I wish we had our own airline license and could already manage the aircraft to become operators too. At some point, I have thought about this, but of course, it's a bit time consuming, very complicated, and that's why we haven't done it. You also have greater legal responsibilities because you must be accountable. Then you also have safety issues, but it's something I've thought about and I've flirted with the idea several times. Because we have a good reputation in the market, because we know the owners and those who actually have the capital to finance these aircraft. I mean, the only thing missing right now would be to have an operating license, an EOC as it's called, Air Operator's Certificate. I've thought about it many times in the past, but we haven't done it. It would clearly require a lot of effort.
And with the license, can you do it?
Yes, the same license. To get it, you basically need to have your own or have bought it. Someone has to assign you an aircraft so you can get the license.
Can you let's say make your own GM, for example? Exactly. Yes. Exactly. Let's say most logical the next GM.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. That would be the most business-wise, the most logical next step. Why? We have a good name and people see us on social media. They assume we own aircraft, but we don't have any. With that license, we could say we manage them. It could be ours, it could have belonged to Christos, Nikos, Kostas, and in the end, Mao.
Did you mention Paros earlier? Do you have a house there? How come you didn't save money to buy an aircraft? Those were its years, ours.
I knew it was. My head still feels big from that aircraft. It depreciates a lot. I mean, its value drops and it takes many years of discussion. The time it will take me afterward. Stress that I have too many expenses? Yes. And I'm not a VIP like some people, so I can't ignore the expenses.
Do you think it will happen? Will you manage to do it, or is it not your goal?
Only if an investor is found. I don't think I can make a big move on my own. Only if someone tells me, hey, I'll get a plane, you get a plane too, bring in another plane, bring in more planes. Slowly.
Slowly it will happen.
Only like that. But on my own, what, should I go get a plane? No, because you also have a lot of downtime. I mean, if you do that, you'll be paying people while the company basically has no income. How long? Isn't that really stressful? Think about it. You start a company, and until it's set up and you start making revenue, a year goes by, and then something else comes up in the office. Imagine me earning a salary while you have no income. I couldn't handle that. I'd feel very insecure, and the insecurity would build slowly. It's not like you turn the key and the company starts and you have revenue right away. There's a long startup lag. Here, someone else gets an aircraft that already has the license, and until they lease it out, 6 months go by. Someone already has the license and wants to make it commercial, and they wait a year for the plane to become available. I couldn't stand that then.
And now I want you to give me one last message before we go. We have some audience questions. Here's a message I want you to share.
The message I would give to people who are interested in these services is that the field is very limited, but as I said before, if you truly love this subject, you can do it, you can reach high. This is the one thing I mentioned before, that the number one recipe for success is love for the subject. And of course, your personal effort. What does it mean to love something? You give it a lot of your personal time, so you have to be ready to dedicate a big part of your personal time. And beyond that, there is nothing else for me. In this, not only in the private aviation sector, but in general in areas where this ingredient of success exists, the sky is the limit. There are no obstacles. All these dreams can come true.
Very nice message, Mr. Miltos. Now let's move on to the audience questions. So, we've written down the first question. How many years did it take for this business to succeed?
The truth is that this business succeeded almost from the very beginning. I didn't expect that there would be such a great response from the people who knew me. You were from.
Did you say the first ones?
He said 8, but there were also 1 or 2 more at the beginning. But what I want to say is that the fact that the customers followed me on this journey from the beginning, I didn't expect there would be such an immediate response and acceptance. The fact that I have now differentiated myself and I am a broker. I used to feel secure that the customer would follow the one who had the aircraft, but it didn't turn out that way. Why did I keep the main core of the clientele? Yes, because I remember, and they would tell me, even at the meetings when I went, they would tell me, we don't choose companies, we choose people, and we like that it's you, we choose people, and we like that it's you, we choose people, and we like that it's you here, and we trust you. I remember they had told me this once or twice in meetings, clients.
They like that you are there and that you are involved.
Let's say
What's the best way for someone to get into the industry?
it's to be in a way to contact the Civil Aviation Authority in their area to get an official list. Which companies have a IR operator's license? Which are the airlines? Apart from Aegean Airlines and Sky Express, which are the airline carriers? Which are the other 8 to 10 air taxi companies? To see which ones there are, to make contact, to see if they need someone, or if he can send his resume to us as well. We always hire new people from time to time because the industry is growing. Now, if he wants to fly, he can look for a pilot position. If someone wants to work commercially in this field, they should look for a job either here or abroad. Abroad, the market is much more developed. For example, in England, there are many aviation broker companies, a lot. And in Switzerland and in Dubai and in France, there are companies as well. It's a widespread job. Also, you told me that 3 of our people left to work for foreign companies. I mean, it's a dynamic market. Someone comes, gains experience, then moves elsewhere. In other words, the career becomes international after that.
You said you started in travel in 2003. Yes, right? That's when you began, correct?
Yes, but it mainly didn't do chartering of ships. It didn't do it the way it does today. Since that part focused on travel services, there was cross-hailing. I also made recommendations and supported the project at the time.
But in general, do you think travel is on the rise or is it declining now? Okay.
Everyone says that there's AI now, that there will be a further crisis, but they've always said things like that. Why? And anyway, a large part of tourism is handled through platforms. In the past, travel agents used to arrange a lot of hotel bookings, but now there's Booking, there's Expedia, HomeAway, so more and more people are using platforms. And yet, even there, the agent still has a purpose because the agent will take better care of the booking, will mediate, especially when it's more VIP. The client notifies the hotel because of the client's needs. In my opinion, the agent will always exist, and in the tourism sector, there's no way the agent's role will disappear.
Is it really possible for someone to enter the industry or is the industry closed off by itself? Is it closed?
The fact that it's relatively closed, it's closed, but is it possible to get in?
One more thing. If you started from scratch, from zero, would you do anything differently? Would you do something differently?
Yes. Would I do something differently?
Would I do it? Would I do it faster?
No, I would do the following differently. If I were starting from zero today, I wouldn't. On the one hand, I would have started the business activity a little faster. I wouldn't have waited for circumstances to bring me where they did, because indeed, due to circumstances, I finally said, forget it and start on your own. First, I had to be fired from a job where I wasn't at fault, then go to another employer where I realized I was way too old there. I had too much experience to be on a single aircraft when I had requests for dozens of aircraft. So I would have made the move faster and I would have hired more people more quickly. That is, knowing that since I loved what I was doing, I would give my soul to it. So, not to wait for the security to succeed and to have so much work that I drown and suddenly bring people in. I mean, I would have preferred to be better set up from the start. That's what I would have done differently. I would have hired more people from the beginning. That's the truth, but you know, someone, illegally, you know as well. But you were under pressure seeing, yes, you didn't feel ready. I mean, I would have built this customer base much faster. If from the beginning I had at least 1 or 2 more people, from 2008 to 2011, I was alone for 3 years. I mean, for 3 years, I was working nonstop, 23 to 24 hours a day. Literally on top of everything else, besides making the reservations come on.
You know everything.
But now I also made the reservations. I would go and greet and welcome the clients at the airports and heliports, so I did everything. So I didn't have any free time? Not at all, really not at all, but it's okay, I was rewarded.
So, Mr. Miltos, it was a very strong episode. We've finished this one too now. I don't know if you want to add something. Should we close it differently?
I think we've covered this section. And of course, what I can say is that even though the field may sound limited and like a closed club, whoever wants to get involved should know that whether it's in business or as an executive. Well, what we saw with social media and the exposure compared to the old methods of promotion, we didn't expect it. I mean, this gaining people's love many times and that I would get something in return too, already, personally. Such recognition was also something I didn't expect from myself.
People greet you on the street all the time.
All the time? Yes, this awareness that has been created around my name, I didn't expect it either. Not at all.
So that's it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone who stayed with me until the end to finish the video. Goodbye. Thank you.